We're live on YouTube. And we're live on Facebook. So let's give it a couple of minutes, let some people jump on. It's been a while since I've done a live. It was January, nearly 6 months ago, half a fucking year since I've done a live and a podcast. So I thought, you know what? I need to jump on and do one because a lot of you guys are always liking these podcasts and these lives as well. We'll give it about 30 seconds. If everyone can hear me and see me, stick your favorite emoji in the comments. We've got 18 of you guys on YouTube now, 20. We've got a few on Facebook, YouTube, no one on there, but that doesn't really populate as much. Cool. Right. We'll get going in 15 seconds. We've got a really good, informative episode for you guys. Yes, David, we've got a few pints there. Love it. Guessing that everyone can hear me and see me. Nige with the aubergine. Yes, yes. Hey, we got a smiley face. Cool. Right, we're rolling. Shall we click record? I'm making sure I've had to go over my setup because I've not done a podcast in so fucking long. Anyway, let's hit record. 3, 2, 1. Yes, gang. Welcome to another episode of the Type 1 Movement Podcast. It's been a while. It's nearly been half a fucking year, excuse me, since I've done a podcast episode. So I thought I best pull my finger out my arse, and do one. So this episode, I'm going to be speaking about 5 things that you're potentially doing that's negatively impacting your blood glucose levels and your diabetes management. But before we do get into the nitty-gritty of it, please leave me a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening to it on. I run no paid ads when we do these podcasts and these lives. So that really does help me impact, obviously, the Type 1 community. Also, feel free to give it a screenshot, share it on your stories, share it on Facebook, and give me a quick tag so I can reach out and say thank you. I am back. I've made a commitment to myself. I'm going to do 1 episode a week and deliver more value. I think this is number 231 episodes. The podcast's been going for about 3 or 4 years, so I need to pull my finger out. A few things been going on in my life before we get into it. I've decided that I'm going to do a triathlon, and I can't fucking swim. But I lie. I can swim, just not very well. So I've been having swimming lessons, turning up my swimming game. I'm good on a bike. You guys will know if you've got me on socials. I love riding, love running, but swimming lets me down. So I've been doing that. This coming Sunday, I've got a duathlon. I foot the swim off out of it. And it's just a run, a bike, and a run. So I'm looking forward to that first ever proper event. So I've set myself a little goal of learning to swim. And this can come back to our diabetes management. I speak about this on my stories a lot. If we're not good at something, it seems like we want to off-put it, but actually improving whatever it is, diabetes management, for me, swimming, it builds a bit of resilience because we're having to put time and effort in. And I think we learn a lot about ourselves when we start to put time and effort into things we're not very good at. Don't get me wrong, these times I've felt like just fucking off and getting out of the water. But that's not the point. It builds a little bit of self-resilience. It shows you to yourself that you can commit to something and you can learn new stuff. And I think that's how we achieve great diabetes management as well. It's a skill. And I always say this to all of our clients, any skill if we're willing to put the work in at the end of the day. Cool. 1 sec. I knew something would happen here. We've just ended up. Don't use that. There we go. We're back on. There was some bloody stupid microphone issue on me bloody thingy. Right. 1 sec. Cool. I think we're back on. Yes, we're back on. Bloody technology. I don't know. Right. So let's get into this. Let's get into this now. Hopefully we'll have no more hiccups. So 5 things that you're potentially doing that's negatively impacting your blood glucose levels. So a few hacks in here that I'm going to give you. We're going to get straight into this. The first one is, this has become more apparent over the years, but it's a fucking game changer. Do it. Not pre-bolusing. Now, how do you know if you need to pre-bolus? Well, if you give your insulin as soon as you start eating and you spike out a range, but then after 3 or 4 hours, you're back in range, that's good, solid data that, hey, that insulin needs a pre-bolus. It needs to be given before you actually start to eat to have a chance to work. Because unfortunately, rapid-acting insulin isn't actually rapid. That's a good way of saying, if you're giving your insulin, you know, when you're eating and you're not spiking out of range, awesome, you don't need to pre-bolus, yeah? But if you are spiking out of range, you're having issues, you're spiking out of range all the time, but then you're coming back in range, you need a pre-bolus. If you spike out of range and you stay out of range after 3 or 4 hours, your carb ratio's off. So I test that before you start messing around with pre-bolusing. So the first thing that you're potentially doing that's negatively impacting your blood sugar levels is not pre-bolusing. Start doing it. If you want to test this, start with 5-minute increments. That's what we tend to do with our clients. One sec, we're having some more issues with this. Don't use, there we go, we're back on. Yeah, so if you want to test your pre-bolus, start with 5-minute increments. Give your insulin for the meal, wait 5 minutes. If you still spike out of range, move it back in 5-minute increments. Just makes your life easier. Second thing that you're potentially doing that's negatively impacting your control, just counting carbohydrates. I think it's got more apparent over the years now that we don't just need to count carbs, these other macros as well. Our three main macronutrients, well, three only macronutrients are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. You'll know if you've eaten a big burger or a pizza or even healthy, high-fat, healthy fats, still do the same, avocado, nuts, whatever's in your meal, and you eat it, you just bolus for the carbs. 3 or 4 hours later, or sometimes over that, you're getting a big fucking spike. You're like, shit, why is that happening? This is why, because you've not accounted for the fats and the proteins. This will need an extended bolus if you're on a pump. All pump features have them, extended bolus, or splitting your bolus if you're on pens. So don't just count your carbohydrates. You're also going to have to count fats and proteins as well. If you struggle to do this, download an app like MyFitnessPal or whatever the food tracking app preference of your choice is. And this will really help you start counting all your macros. That's number 2, just counting carbs. We need to count carbs, fats, and protein. Number three is a big one that could be negatively impacting your control. It's just going low carb. Similar to point number 2, some type 1s think that if they drop carbs out, that they're just not going to have to take any or very little insulin. This isn't correct, because if we're dropping carbs out, we're increasing fats and proteins, or we're still eating fats and proteins, because if not, we're not fucking eating anything. Can't just eat fresh air, can we? Yeah. So what will then happen is, as I said in point 2, fats and proteins will still need some insulin because they can be converted into glucose, not getting too scientific, via a process called gluconeogenesis. Convert into glucose needs insulin. So we can't just drop carbs out thinking that it's going to help us manage our levels whilst we're still eating fats and proteins. Yeah. Another thing to mention as well, and I'm not a low carb basher, if you're eating low carbs and it works well for you and you enjoy it, keep at it. Keep at it. But when we go low carb, there's a high probability that we actually need more basal insulin. Yeah, when we do go low carb. So that's the third thing that could be negatively impacting your control. Going low carb, thinking you don't need to bolus for foods, eating fats and proteins, then getting spikes. You're still going to need to bolus some insulin. Number 4 is giving a correction within 3 or 4 hours of a bolus. We call this fucking rage bolusing. You'll know if you've done this before, and then you can't pull your fucking blood sugar levels up off the floor, they're low all the time. So giving a correction within 3 to 4 hours of a bolus. Yeah. So let's say we eat food, we give our bolus or we give a pre-bolus and we spike out of range. Wait 3 or 4 hours. Just wait it out. Yeah. Because if you start bolusing, let's say you bolus within an hour of giving a bolus and you've eaten because you've spiked out of range, then what's going to happen is in a few hours' time, your initial bolus is going to kick in, then your correction is going to kick in, and your blood sugar levels are going to be shooting down low, and you're going to start over-treating lows and going high, and then we end up on that fucking roller coaster. So that's the 4th thing, giving a correction within 3 or 4 hours of a bolus. Wait it out where possible, yeah? There's a sideline to that. If we're super high, then probably, yeah, give a correction, yeah? But you're going to have to go off your numbers for this. And the 5th and final thing that you could be doing that's negatively impacting your control is being too structured. This is a bit controversial, right? Yes, we need some structure and routine in our life to help us manage our blood sugar levels. It does help, and it helps us build new habits and create routines and shit, right? But if you're too structured and you're eating the same thing around the same time, you're doing the same shit all the time, what it does is it's like a one-trick pony. You only learn how to manage your bloods in that environment with those foods around that time. Break that routine sometimes. Go and eat different foods. Go and try different activities. Have foods at different times of the day. Because this is the only way, as I said at the start, to learn the skills that we need to manage our diabetes. If I'm having breakfast at the same time every day, it's the same thing. Then lunch at the same time, it's the same thing. Work hours are the same. I'm training the same. Like, When I break that, I'm going to lose my shit because I'm going to be like, fucking hell, this is really scary. And I've spoke to type 1s that have got great control, but because of that routine and structure, they worry about breaking the routine and the structure. It causes a lot of unwanted stress. But you need to just go out there and break it, because then you're going to encounter problems that you then need to solve. And this is how we get better. Yeah. So, quick recap: the 5 things that you could potentially be doing that's negatively impacting your blood sugar levels. First one, not pre-bolusing. Second one, just counting carbohydrates. Third one, going low carb. Fourth one, giving a correction within 3 or 4 hours of a bolus. Fucking rage bolusing. Leave it out. Wait, be patient. Fifth one is being too structured and too routine. Team, that is it. It's been a great first episode back. If you got value from it, as I said at the start, please leave me a rating and a review. I'm going to make a commitment to myself to try and get a podcast episode in and alive every single week. Hopefully you guys have got some value or a little bit of an incentive, even if it's only one thing that you've taken from this and it helps your management in some way, shape or form. Job done. I'm happy. Until the next episode, guys, have a great day wherever you are in the world. Peace. Cool. Right, team, I'm going to stay on because I noticed a few questions coming in. So if anyone's left on these lives, I think there's 13 of you on Instagram, a couple on Facebook. I'm going to stay on for a couple of minutes and just answer any questions that do come in. So on YouTube, we've got mine fluctuates daily. Gastroparesis is a pain in the butt. Plus pizza makes me spike super fast. Yeah, so gastro, for anyone who doesn't know, can be really challenging. We've helped a few type 1s with this because you don't know when your stomach's going to empty and start the digestive process when you've got gastro. So it's really hard. A thing that we usually do with clients who are gastroparesis with this is use a split or extended bolus. So we're not giving their insulin all up front and causing too many hypos because we're trying to work against the stomach, you see. Cool. We're going to have a quick look through, excuse me, you guys on Instagram. We've got bestie. I love people's favorite emojis. Where are we? What about taking creatine for type 1 diabetics? 4 body weight and 2 runs a week. Thank you. Great work, first of all, on the body weight stuff and runs. Creatine is absolutely fine for us to take as type 1s unless we have some sort of a medical condition, kidneys, organs, things like just research it. If you've not just got type 1, you've got other medical conditions. Research it and make sure creatine is all right for you to take. But me, obviously, I'm type 1. I've also got an underactive thyroid. I take creatine every day. In fact, creatine is the most highly researched and backed supplement out there. Yeah. So if you're resistance training, even if you're not, it's a good supplement to take. Yeah. So creatine, absolutely fine for us as type 1s, provided we've got no other health conditions that we couldn't take with creatine. Do a little bit of research if you're unsure. Is the insulin ratio for protein and fat the same as the carbs? No, it's not the same as the carbs. We usually start with 10% of someone's insulin to carb ratio. This is why it's so important we need our basal rate tested and then our insulin to carb ratio when we start looking at protein and fats. So 10% of your insulin to carb ratio is a good place to start for fats and proteins. Obviously, bolus that, make the adjustments based on the data and the outcome from it. But it's not going to be the same. It's usually not as much as carbs. Cool. I think that's it on the questions. Yes, I think we're good. Right, cool. Let's call it there, gang. Thank you very much for jumping on this very belated live, considering the last one that I did was January. I need to get back on it, don't I? Cheers, everyone. Thanks for your time and your questions and your favorite emojis. Till the next live. Have a great day. Peace.